الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر.
Have you ever witnessed a hungry goat that refuses food even when it is placed right in front of its nose? Can you even begin to imagine such a thing happening? Tell me the truth, brother. Have you ever seen a hungry cow refuse her fodder? Unless she is feeling sick or suffering from terrible indigestion, she will most definitely dig right into that feed with absolutely no hesitation at all. Animals possess absolutely no control over their base desires. It is the human being, the only creature who has been granted the strength to master his own internal urges, who has the willpower to stay hungry and thirsty for an entire month, doing so solely for the sake of Allah. It is the human who can lower his gaze for Allah's sake. Even when he feels a powerful burning urge to look at something forbidden, he still finds the strength to lower his eyes. It is the human being who knows full well that he could cheat another person and sell a simple 10 rupee item for 100 or even 200 rupees in profit, deceiving everyone just to make money. That he could become a millionaire, he could become very wealthy. Yet he chooses to control his desires and remains content with what is strictly lawful. To whom exactly has Allah granted this incredible power of self-restraint? It is granted to man. I often share a specific story, and I will repeat it now because it fits this important topic so perfectly. There was once a great saint of our faith who engaged in a profound debate with a priest. So that Hindu priest said to the saint, "Let us see together whether Islam is the true path or if Hinduism is true." And then he went on to say that, "I will show you my power by eating this entire large pot of food, and I want you to try it too. Meaning this will be a grand miracle of mine, showing that a whole pot cannot possibly eat at once, but this will be my miracle and I will consume the whole pot myself. This will be a clear sign to everyone of exactly who Bhagwan is with." Say it, the support should be with me. Well then, if he helps you eat that much, it actually means that Bhagwan is on the side of the pot, not the man. You said it yourself, you said the support is with the pot. And you certainly gave a very good and witty comeback right there in the heat of the moment during the debate. So I'll eat the whole pot, even though there isn't enough space in the stomach. But that pot will simply disappear. This will be a miracle. It will be a sign of who Bhagwan is with. The elder who was with me was quite thin, likely Maulana Qasim Nanotwi. He was known for being very slender in his build, appearing quite lean and thin to everyone who saw him. He couldn't even manage to eat a single full plate of rice. How could he possibly compete, brother? So he fell into deep thought for a while. People were delighted, thinking, look, he's lost. He can't eat a whole cauldron. He can't eat a cauldron. If God were truly with you, he would have helped you digest it as well. After thinking for a long time, he said, brother, look, the matter is this. Eating whole cauldrons or eating that much is not for humans. That is the task of buffaloes. Whose task is this? A human being cannot possibly eat that much food. The excellence that God has granted to man is not based on the simple fact that he can eat so much. This superiority of man is a very significant matter. Try to understand it. May Allah grant us the wisdom to understand this. Today, a person is considered superior if they lead a life of luxury and have every wish fulfilled. People say he is a great man, a truly big man. He wears a very expensive watch. He's a great man. He has a high-end mobile. He's a great man. He doesn't live like the poor. He resides in a mansion. He's a great man. All his desires are met. And the small man has nothing to eat, nothing to wear. Look at his broken slippers. He's a small man. He has no phone or never has any credit when you try to call him. So he is labeled a small man. Almost all the prophets of God faced these very kinds of painful taunts. Pharaoh arrogantly asked his people, "Am I better or is this Moses?" God forbid he would call the prophet inferior, claiming that he was just a common and so very inferior man. Why have no gold bracelets been given to him? Pharaoh used to constantly ask his followers why this man had no gold bracelets shining upon his hands as a sign of wealth. He would gather his nation and hold massive public rallies. Pharaoh held entire public rallies when he saw the public turning toward Moses. He would hold these massive meetings saying to the crowds, "If he is truly so great, then why are there no gold bracelets placed upon his hands? Why is he just a poor and humble man while I possess these grand golden palaces and all the riches of the world? And what of these rivers flowing beneath my feet? He only has a broken, tiny mud hut to call home. Look at my glorious palaces, look at my powerful staff and my great army. Look at all my servants and my royal court." We often read and hear these stories of Pharaoh and we keep cursing him for his arrogance, yet we don't take a moment to really Realize that every single one of us often holds the same basic emotions and shallow standards that Pharaoh once had. We judge the worth of people exactly like that in our daily lives. Are you understanding this crucial point or not? We might not have the extreme luxuries and vast power that Pharaoh once had, so within the limits of our own social status and means, we judge. We behave in that exact same way. If we were to get as much money as Pharaoh once had, then our standards would also become quite shallow. A human being's true identity and worth are not defined by these material things at all. It's absolutely not defined by this outward appearance or wealth at all.
So during that grand debate that was taking place, they said, brother, eating large cauldrons of food is whose job? It is the natural job of animals like buffaloes. Cows and buffaloes can eat quantities equal to cauldrons, but we cannot eat like that. He said human excellence is not found in how much one eats. Rather, true human excellence is found in how much one can successfully restrain oneself from eating even when food is available. How much one can hold back, how much physical hunger one can endure. Then he said to the priest, I will show you my truth by staying completely hungry for an entire week. I'll feel hungry but won't eat. I'll endure it. You also try staying hungry for a week. A glutton cannot miss even one meal, let alone 3 days or a week. So I ask you, is the standard of true human excellence based on the capacity for eating, or is it based on the noble capacity for restraint from eating when one is hungry? To feel the natural urge to eat and yet firmly control one's own desires, exercising this profound self-control in the face of this temporary material world. The Western world, you see, the outside world and the world of liberal and secular people. This is the very same materialist world being taught and explained in modern universities every single day. This is the notion being instilled into the hearts of our youth, where a poor man is being portrayed as a failure. I am not saying you should choose to be poor, but if destiny made someone poor and his desires remain unfulfilled, it is not a flaw. It is not a flaw at all. This shallow standard of measuring a human being's worth is 100% wrong. To judge them simply because they lack money or because their personal desires are not being met by life. There are so many inspiring accounts of the Sahaba, the Tabi'un, and all our righteous predecessors that reflect this truth about the strength of character over material gain. That at the moment of death they would be weeping, and when asked if they were crying out of fear of death, they would say, no, it is because we used to fast for the sake of Allah. We used to endure hunger and thirst for God's sake, and now that spiritual pleasure of fasting is ending, that unique pleasure of self-sacrifice is finally coming to an end. As I mentioned earlier, we were attending a gathering in Peshawar, sitting around and chatting with friends, and there was a wise elderly gentleman there who shared some of his experiences with us. The elderly people we have seen so far are generally very decent, but when this current new generation finally grows old, they won't talk in this dignified way. It used to be that no matter what a person did in their youth, in old age they would finally say, let's talk of good things now, and turn to devotion. But the generation of elderly soon to emerge, this current generation of ours, when it eventually grows old and frail. So they will likely need to scroll through TikTok and Instagram just to pass their lonely time. Do you really understand what I'm saying about the state of our future? These are folks from the past who turn to prayer beads in old age thinking, let's remember God. I've seen many old people with beads in their hands, and those who come to the mosque, they must have done some good deeds in their youth to receive such divine guidance now. Otherwise, if one hasn't repented for their sins while still young, may Allah grant my mother total forgiveness and peace and mercy. She was quite elderly and then her mind stopped functioning properly. She also had an injury that perhaps compressed a nerve in her neck or head, you know how it is. So her mind was no longer conscious of the world around her. And what used to happen was that for a period of about 2 to 2.5 years at the end, she wasn't in her senses at all during that difficult time. Yet we noticed that if my brother or anyone else started to recite the verses of Surah Yasin nearby, then if they happened to leave out the final word of a section in Surah Yasin, my mother would complete that word herself. Similarly, if you simply place prayer beads into her hand, her fingers would automatically start moving and she would begin her silent reciting. So the cautionary lesson I took from this was a deep fear, wondering who knows what our own old age will be like if we do not change. May Allah protect us all in our old age and keep our faith strong. I'm not claiming to be anyone great or especially pious, as we are all just the same in our struggles. May it not be that in our old age we hold prayer beads and our fingers simply do not move at all. Yet if someone gives us a mobile phone, it seems that even the blind suddenly regain their sight and clarity instantly. They have no eyes but start seeing the screen. They might be paralyzed and their hands won't move for anything else, but as soon as a phone appears, the paralysis is cured. TikTok comes along on the screen and their hands and fingers suddenly start moving with ease. Our teacher, a very respected man,
used to tell a fascinating story that illustrates this point about the habits we form in our lives and how they stay with us until the end. It was about a mare that once went completely out of control, a wild, rebellious mare of that era that simply would not listen to any of the commands given by her handlers. She became completely uncontrollable, and they couldn't catch her at all, chasing her all over the place. It was a real mess. Man, she was perfectly fine. What happened to her? Then a wise animal psychologist finally came along. He said he would have her under control in just 2 minutes. He walked up and whispered something secret in her ear, and she suddenly stopped perfectly still in her tracks right then.
People asked, "What did you say?" He replied, "I simply told her you have a phone call," and instantly her entire focus turned toward the thought of the phone, stopping her. This misplaced focus, this is exactly how our old age will pass, just as all our base desires and distractions drove us to act when we were still in our youth. Most desires are fulfilled. In old age, only the craving remains while strength fades. Yet the interests stay the same, watching movies and dramas. And the strength to sit on manhole covers chatting all night long is gone. So the poor old man just sits there and sighs and whimpers for the past. By God, old age will surely pass very well for the one who learned to control their inner desires and base urges while they were still in the peak strength and vigor of their own youth and life. So as I was saying earlier, there are many historical accounts of the noble companions of the Prophet and the Tabi'in who followed them, highlighting their self-discipline, that they would cry at the time of death. It was perhaps Jabir bin Abdullah who cried then. There is also a great pious Tabi'i follower whose name was Suwaid ibn Ghafla. They say that his tongue had completely dried up from constant and voluntary fasting. At the time of death, he was crying, saying that it was only in the remembrance of Allah I used to endure the long summer fasts with joy, and now that spiritual pleasure is finally ending. But what about us? We will likely be crying for other reasons, because we will miss our sweets and our fatty foods. So many old people meet and say, "Son, don't even ask the amazing things we used to eat at the restaurants back then. In just one sitting, I could eat an entire kilo of chicken by myself. But now, my dear son, I can't eat like that anymore. I am not mocking any elderly person. I feel our deeds are such that I wonder what our end will be. It will be this, telling our children, 'Son, in your era, everything is so small compared to us.'" Eating this one goat was absolutely nothing to us. We used to deliver an hour-long lecture just on the taste of fat, how an egg is cooked, and 5 eggs in water. A clip of mine was circulating today where I was telling people to eat 5 eggs all at once, boiled in water and not fried. They took just that tiny part from the whole speech. Now people believe that short clip. So we used to eat 5 eggs at a time. My dear son, what will our old age really be like given the indulgent way that things are going for our generation? Those of this current generation are doing it, and some elders are still telling others, "I used to do this and that back in my day." There was once a man who grew very old, you see, and struggled. And he stumbled while walking, you see. Once he stumbled, the poor man cried out, "Oh, my lost youth." Then moving a bit further down the road, he looks around cautiously, checking left and right to see if anyone is watching. Then he says to himself, "What great feats did you even achieve in your youth anyway?" In our own old age, we will be talking like this to everyone, saying things like, "We used to be able to eat all of this food without any trouble." The companions used to feel a deep sense of concern about such things. There was once a companion who requested the Prophet, PBUH, "O Messenger of Allah, I want to fast for my whole life," but he forbade him from doing so. He said, "No, brother, he didn't say that much. No, I will keep them." Once he started keeping them, he would fast every day in his youth, but he couldn't do it in his old age. Now he used to feel great regret, wishing he had not committed to fasting for his whole life, even though he hadn't actually made a formal religious vow to do so. He had only made an intention, but his health wasn't permitting it. So he said, "I wish I had told the Prophet, peace be upon him, that I wouldn't fast every day." He was feeling deep regret that he couldn't continue a spiritual practice he had started for his whole life. Yet what is the actual condition of people like you and me today? I used to eat 2 large oily parathas daily. I wish I could still eat them with the same appetite, but now I can't even digest more than just one small piece of it. Is it like this or not? Tell me, is there any doubt in your mind? In the past, when biryani was served, people would finish off entire massive cauldrons. Now I don't know why my blood sugar gets so high from just 2 tiny bites of rice. I wish I could have just kept eating just like that forever. I wish I could do this. I wish it were truly in my fate. I would buy a donkey. Sometimes you would ride, and sometimes I would be the rider as we traveled along together on our way back home. The standards of the companions were like that, but before Islam came into the world, before Islam, their condition was exactly like this too. They too used to take pride in those very things in their past.
They too used to take pride in those very same material things before finally embracing Islam. Their standard for weighing others and for weighing themselves changed significantly. A person weighs himself too. Every man thinks of himself and says, I am a very big deal. I am a very great man. I am this, I am that. Brother, how much can you control your base desires and how many sacrifices can you really make for Allah? That will give you a true idea of your weight. And others, not you, will be the ones to say this about you.